Sam from the team at Pride in Gloucestershire, and I'm here on World AIDS Day with Naomi from the Eddystone Trust. So welcome, Naomi. Please can you tell us a bit about yourself and about the Eddystone Trust, please?
Hi, I'm Naomi. I'm a sexual health and HIV prevention worker for the Eddystone Trust here in Gloucestershire. So the Eddystone Trust is a HIV and sexual health charity that covers the Southwest. We are a charity that challenges stigma and discrimination and the misinformation that's associated with HIV and sexual health. We do this by training, by offering to support people living with the virus or people who are affected by HIV. So that would be anyone who is a friend or family member, partner, child of someone who's living with HIV. We also offer the C card. So that's a little card that young people can sign up to access free condoms and free sexual health resources in Gloucestershire. And then we offer HIV testing as well.
Great, thank you very much. So can you start by telling us what are HIV and AIDS?
I'm going to separate the two because they are two separate things. I'm going to start with HIV. So HIV is human immunodeficiency virus. It is exactly what it says on the tin. It is a virus that affects a human's immune system, making it weaker and not able to fight off infections as well as it usually should. The other is AIDS. So AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Now, AIDS is a syndrome that you can't catch. So it's really important to separate these two. So HIV can be transmitted, AIDS can't. You can't catch AIDS. AIDS is a collection of illnesses that someone living with HIV may develop. So if they develop something like TB or pneumonia or certain cancers, they are considered living with an AIDS-related illness. Although we're here on World AIDS Day and we're using the word AIDS, we don't actually tend to use it that often anymore. We tend to use late-stage HIV. This is because the word AIDS can come along with lots of connotations and lots of stigma and discrimination.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so can you tell us a bit more about how HIV is transmitted and what the sort of symptoms are?
HIV is a bloodborne virus. So it can be transmitted from sharing needles, sharing drug use and equipment. Although it is considered a bloodborne virus, it is also a sexually transmitted infection. So it can be contracted from unprotected sex. That's unprotected vaginal or unprotected anal sex.
Okay. So does that mean anyone can get HIV?
It does mean that anyone can get HIV. So HIV does not discriminate. It's not bothered as to whose body it goes into. If you are if you are having unprotected sex and a active virus is present, then you are at risk of contracting that virus.
Yeah. But despite that, there's still quite a lot of stigma around it, isn't there?
There is unfortunately still a lot of stigma and discrimination surrounding HIV. If anyone's old enough to remember the kind of early 80s, late 80s, where there were campaigns called Don't Die of Ignorance, where there were leaflets put through the door, there were adverts on the TV. These were big, bold adverts that actually were essentially using scare tactics. The problem is if you scare a human, they can either fight or flight. So they either go underground or they fight against it. So there is still a lot of stigma surrounding this virus. Also the way that it's contracted. So people don't really like to talk about sex, can be quite embarrassed and become quite offended when sex is mentioned. So if someone has contracted an illness from having sex, then it can be considered that it's their fault. They have done something wrong and they put themselves at risk, so they have to live with the consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. And still the case for a lot of STIs, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so how can people protect themselves then?
The most effective way of protecting yourself from any sexually transmitted infection, including HIV, would be condom use. So condoms are effective at stopping HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. If you are choosing not to use condoms, you can use something called PrEP. So that's pre-exposure prophylaxis. PrEP is a HIV medication that you take prior to having sex and it stops HIV in its tracks. So there's been lots of trials The most recent trial has proven that PrEP works. There are 2 ways to take it. So you can take a tablet every day, and then the medication builds up in your system, or you can do something called a vent dose. So a vent dose is when you take a certain amount of medication prior to having sex and then a certain amount of medication afterwards. When accessing PrEP, it's now become available on the NHS in England. So you can access PrEP from your local GUM or sexual health clinic. The other way is you can order it online. We do need to point out that when you're ordering or purchasing any medication online, you need to be very, very careful as to what you're purchasing and where you're purchasing it from. There are websites out there that can help you access PrEP and access it correctly and safely. So one of those is Prepster. So that's prepster@info.com. Now, Prepster will help you access affordable and appropriate medication. When we're taking PrEP, we also need to make sure that we're accessing regular blood tests. So anyone living with HIV will have regular blood tests. This is to check that there's an appropriate amount of medication in their system, to check their viral load, but to also check that their kidneys and liver are functioning properly. Someone who's taking PrEP will also need these blood tests to check that their liver and their kidney functions are working appropriately. So if you're under a sexual health clinic, then they will contact you and tell you when your blood tests need to be. But if you're accessing it privately, you need to contact your GP or your local clinic in order to get this done. The other option is PEP, so that's post-exposure prophylaxis. Now, post-exposure prophylaxis, again, same medication as PrEP and HIV medication, but this is given after a sexual encounter that was considered at risk or risky for HIV. So this is a medication that you're given again to take daily for approximately a month, and again has been proven to stop HIV in its tracks. You can access that from your GUM clinic or from your local A&E.
Thank you. And so can you tell us a bit about the U=U campaign as well?
U=U is undetectable equals untransmittable. Now, when someone contracts HIV, what happens is you have your immune system and it should be ticking over a certain amount. When you add HIV into someone's system, what happens is the HIV goes up, so the viral load goes up and the immune system goes down. When we put medications, so antiretrovirals, into someone's system and they're taking it correctly, the viral load will go down and the immune system should go up. When the viral load gets down to a certain point, it's considered undetectable. When someone has an undetectable viral load, it means that they can't pass the virus on sexually. So if they are deciding to have condomless sex with their partners, then they know if they have an undetectable viral load, there's no risk of HIV being transmitted if they have a HIV negative partner. It also means that HIV positive mothers can have HIV negative babies. They can now have vaginal births as well. The only thing that is still advertised is that mothers shouldn't breastfeed. This is because the trials and things haven't come along far enough to say that it's 100% safe for mothers who are HIV positive to breastfeed their babies.
Yeah, still come such a long way though. That's amazing to hear.
It has come such a long way.
So what can Pride in Gloucestershire and other prides around the UK do to kind of help promote the U=U campaign?
We ask that any campaigns you spread far and wide, as far as you possibly can. We want to thank Pride in Gloucestershire massively, because you guys have always been really good at inviting us along to any events that you have, allowing us to bring our testing kits. Any Pride that we've been to with you guys, you have given us a little extra space behind our stand so that we can pop up our little testing spot. So we just want to say a massive thank you. And if you guys can still keep saying and spreading the words that, you know, this has changed, this has come so far, people can live well with HIV. If you take certain medications, it's untransmittable. So anything that you can spread out there, we're really grateful.
Great, thanks. And you're always welcome. We'll always like to have you here. Finally then, so this year has been particularly difficult for testing on a number of different types of illnesses. How about testing for HIV? What's happened this year?
Like everybody else, we have been affected in the way that we can work. So government guidelines have said that we can't currently have our pop-up testing sessions. We usually pop up all around Gloucestershire, anywhere that have us. and do fast and confidential HIV testing. So we've had to change the way that we do it slightly. We're now offering home tests. So these are free, fast home HIV tests. They look like this. The packaging looks like this. When it is posted to you, it's in a box and it doesn't have HIV written in big red letters. It doesn't have the Eddystone Trust on it. It just has your address. It has no identifiable features at all. Inside the packaging is a little vial. And what happens is you're giving a lancet that you prick your finger with. You pop the vial on the end of your finger, pop it into a little tub of water that's provided, and then it will give you a result in 15 minutes. So these immediate home tests are free and confidential. So we will post them out to you if you contact us. The other way to test is through your local gum clinic. So in Gloucestershire, that's Hope House in Gloucester. It's really important to keep saying they are still open. So sexual health clinics are still open, even in the pandemic. They are working slightly different, but they're still open. They are asking that people contact them. They don't just turn up at the door. So, online or telephone, and they'll put you through a triage system. They will triage whether you're appropriate for a home test, so whether they send a test out to you or whether you do need an appointment. Again, their home tests don't have Hope House written in big letters and highlighted or anything. It's completely unidentifiable and completely confidential. So you can have a home test, a fast home test, or if appropriate, you're given an appointment.
Fantastic. So still plenty of testing available. That's
absolutely
great. Grand. Okay, so what can people do to support World AIDS Day this year?
So this year we are running a campaign called Why'd You Wear Yours? So as you can see, it's the red ribbon, which is a symbol of World AIDS Day. We are asking that people wear their ribbon, take a selfie, and then pop it onto social media, telling everyone why you wear yours. So some of ours are saying we wear ours to challenge discrimination or challenge stigma. We're wearing ours because there were still over 600 HIV-related deaths in the UK in 2019. We can stop this for 2020, 2021. So if you can pop a picture of your selfie and your ribbon and why you wear yours, hopefully tagging us in. So we're the Eddystone Trust Gloucestershire. And we can see everybody wearing their ribbons and why they're wearing them.
Great, fantastic. Wonderful. Well, that's the end of our little chat then. Thank you so much for coming along today. And this has been really enlightening for me, and I'm sure everybody watching out there. And massive thanks to you and the Eddystone Trust for all the amazing work you're doing.
Thank you for having us.